Hey everybody. Today I'm going to do a very quick and dirty screen replacement to show you how to use the Planar Tracker Nuke. I want to apologize right off the bat. I am sick, so I'll be cutting around coughs and sniffles and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just get started. This is going to be the end result right here. Just going to cut everything else away. So we're going to start off with two pieces of footage. This one right here, as soon as it loads, is like the perfect screen replacement shot, right? It's just 100 frames long, and it's locked. Well, it's not locked, but there's some slight shake in the person's arm or the camera. We're not entirely sure. Either way, you could manually track this, but I prefer when doing screen replacements, especially on phones, which I've done a lot recently. I prefer using the Planner Tracker just because it gives you better control over the corner pin. It makes it much simpler than using a regular tracker. And we're gonna replace the screen with this fake um, iPhone screen that I found. You'll notice if you got sharp eyes, right off the bat, there's a problem with the screen. We're gonna fix that in this video too. And the problem is that this camera hole punch is for a newer model iPhone than this one right here, which must be a 12 or 11 or something like that. So we're going to use Roto Paint to take out the hole punch and make it look decent, right? So first things first, make sure my settings are right. This is in fact correct right here. So right off the bat, I'm just going to hit tab and find the Planar Tracker. This guy right here. And then when you're using the Planar Tracker, you want to make sure that when you go to create your splines, which we'll do in a second, you want this selected right here, this Planar Tracker layer. If you select this, and you go to do it, you'll notice the splines are red, which means that this is just a regular spline and it's not a in the Planar Tracker layer. If you do it while it's inside the Planar Tracker layer, you'll see that it's purple right here. So if it's purple, then you know it's good. Actually, probably use this. But if you're coming from Mocha, you'll see the buttons that you're used to right here for tracking all the various types of movement that the screen might be doing. So you've got your transitional shifts, your transform, um, your scale, your rotation, your shearing, and your perspective right here. So I'm going to track all of these, even though I don't necessarily have to for this shot because it's so just straight on. Um, But as with any planar tracker, right, we're gonna draw these splines. You don't necessarily need to draw like a perfect square. I'll show you. I'm not gonna draw a square. I'm gonna draw basically an angled version of the iPhone screen. Um, and it doesn't necessarily need to be exactly where you want the screen to be replaced because we're gonna go and we're gonna set our surface after we are done tracking. So what you want to do is you want to find a frame to set up as your reference frame, and you want that reference frame to have the clearest visual of the screen that you can find in the entire shot. This shot's easy. It's clear throughout the entire thing. I've had shots where the screen will rotate or something like that, so I'll have to find a frame like somewhere in the middle. But we're gonna go to one, and as soon as we draw our spline or start drawing our spline, we're going to get a blue keyframe here, and that's going to set up our reference frame. You can verify that by hitting this button right here, which will, if you're anywhere else in the timeline, and you hit this button, it'll bring you back to your reference frame, right? So I'm just going to go and click, click, click. Whenever I'm doing phone screens, I tend to do like this number for corners, and then I try to keep the sides as straight as possible, just to eliminate the number of nodes right here in case I need to adjust later. The more complicated your shape is, um, the harder it is to adjust if you need to. So I just like to do this using the middle mouse button to drag. Right. So as soon as we start to track, I should set us up for the reference frame. So I'm going to track, and I'll fast forward through that for you guys. So you have multiple tracking options here. You can track next, which is just the next frame. You can track to the end, which will take you from wherever you are to the end. Or you can track to the end of a range. If you hit this button, you have to input the range that you want. This clip is originally 359 frames long, but it was taking too long to track for the purposes of this video, so I cut it down to 100. If you do this, actually, you can see it doesn't really matter which one of these track to end and range buttons you choose, because you can choose all of your forward, backward, all that right here. But if you just want to track straight backwards, then you just go to the other side of the stop button. You can track backwards one frame, and then you can track to the start from where you're at. So I'm going to hit track forwards, and I'll catch you when it's done. All right, so we're back. It's tracked. What we can do right now is we can check our surface. If you're, once again, coming from Mocha, all of your surface buttons are right here, right? This one allows you to keep the surface in the center as you play through, right? So you can see it's jittery. This is super handy if you've got a bunch of motion blur when you're trying to track, say, like a window as the camera like pushes by it. This will allow you to make adjustments relatively easily for that, but we don't really need that here. This this is your surface, like in Mocha, right? These four corners right here are where your corner pins are going to go when we generate the corner pin node. And this is adjustable. In this current state, it is not adjustable. If you click through, we can see that it's sticking really well. If you notice, the surface square right here is turned blue, and that is because we are no longer on our reference frame. Once we go back to the reference frame, which I have set to frame 1, it will be yellow. So if you want to make adjustments to it, make adjustments on your reference frame. Otherwise, you'll totally, you won't totally screw it up, but it's not a good idea to adjust the surface if everything's slipping. What you really should do is you should go back and fix your track. Use multiple trackers if you have to, but try not to adjust the surface throughout because it can slip and slide and it can look crazy if you don't do it well or do it too much. This button right here, which I'm going to use, adjusts. So I'm on my reference frame right here, and you can see each of the corners and their little tracking trails. Right? Since I'm on the reference frame, I am going to adjust this because I want the screenshot to be corner pinned not all the way out here because the screen is not this big, right? So if I left it where it was, I'd have to transform it down anyway, so I might as well fix it here instead of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust this one. I'm just going to get these basically lined up with the sides here, sides and top and bottom, just to give it like a rough estimate of where the screen is supposed to be. I guess it's not that rough, it's actually pretty exact. Then you can check your orientation by hitting this button, which gives you this plane right here. In this shot, it's not going to show a whole bunch. You can see that it's moving around. It's really for when you have a little bit more like rotation on it. You can make sure that your screen is staying oriented in the correct way. So I'm just going to turn this off. And then I'm going to turn off my ability to adjust the plane because sometimes I drag it off by accident and destroy the thing halfway through the shot. So I want to avoid doing that. I can actually just turn off seeing the plane as well. If I need to make any adjustments, I'll just remember to go back to frame 1, which is my reference frame, make adjustments, and then turn everything back off. So from here, we are going to I'm just going to quickly roto paint this away. So let's do that. Drag this over here. I'm just going to clone far away. Oh, not that far. just take out this. You can tell it's a digital hole punch, or a digital image of a hole punch rather than an actual photograph of a hole punch because of how cartoony it looks. I had this screenshot here created so that I could do a screen replacement for a client without having any uh, copywritten apps on the screen. So these are all fake apps, just junky little things. Anyway, after that, we're just going to merge. I'm going to press Shift X to swap the inputs. Oh, no, I'm going to break this out. Bring it back here, to here. Now it's gone. Okay, from here, now that this is set, I'm going to open up my Planar Tracker node right here. See, Planar Tracker. Go to tracking, which I'm already at, and then I'm going to do corner pin 2D relative. You have the option to stabilize, which will stabilize just like any normal tracker. But I prefer to use this one because it works the best. There are ways to do screen replacements where you stabilize the footage and then put your screen in there and then unstabilize at the end, but the shot doesn't really require it. So if we look at here now, oh, I need to merge. Bring a merge node, and then over like that. Look at this. It's not right. This is floating off. It's, moving with the phone, but it's not correct. And that's because we need to go into the corner pin node. We go to the from, and this is from the new screen that you're putting on, right? So right now it doesn't have the correct dimensions of the screen, so we need to set this to the input. And bam, we pop it onto the phone. You can see we still need to do some masking, but oh, the hole punch came back. That's why I'll figure it out in a second. Now, oh, I know why it came back. For anyone that uses RotoPaint, remember to change your lifetime to all frames. Every single one of these needs to be all frames, which is very annoying if you do like a 40 one where you have to select it all. I think Control A works. That's a good. So now we've got that. Screen's locked in. Looks like we need to fix the surface a little bit because we're coming off the end here, the sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Roto Paint, or the Roto Planar Tracker. We're going to go here and we're going to turn these back on so I can look at them. And I'm going to bring the mix down on this merge node just a little bit to get a better idea of where I'm actually placing the screen. And then I'm going to turn my ability to mess with the surface back on. So I'm just going to drag this point here up a little bit. And then this one's going to come over here. I don't know about this. We have a little bit of green still right here, but we'll take care of that one. This side looks fine. I don't see any green. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. That off. I bring the mix back up. And it looks like it's sticking on there. It's fine. Sweet. So real quickly, I'm going to build a mask. And I'm going to mask out the phone screen. Make it look a little nicer. So you don't have just this glob here, right? The mask can be kind of annoying in my experience. But it's relatively simple. So I will, since this is not a masking tutorial, I will be right back as soon as I'm finished masking it. All right, and we're back masked. There's still a little bit of green spill that I want to take care of right here. We can adjust the mask. See what it, oh, adjust the mask. Sometimes what I tend to do is I see what just desfilling the background footage looks like. because often it can kill a whole bunch of that stuff. So what we can do right here is I have a Dispel Madness node, throw in, and that makes the edges look a lot nicer. So if I'll deactivate the Dispel Madness using the D key, and you can see it's turned to this gray, which kind of works because of the blue color that the light that would be shutting off. It's a little bit of light like that. Actually, if you ever do that right here, if you go into the 3D space by accident, you're supposed to have it auto away. That is about it. Usually I would go back through and recreate the reflections and stuff on the screen, but since this is just a planar tracking tutorial, we're not today. As always, if you have any questions, reach out. Thanks for watching, and peace.